Hello, my name is Gary Rossman. I'm a physician at Atlantic Gastroenterology Associates who will speak to you today about endoscopy. The word endoscopy actually refers to two different types of procedures. Upper endoscopy, which is the examination of the esophagus, stomach, and upper small intestine, and lower endoscopy, which is better known as colonoscopy, which is an examination of the colon. Either procedure is done while you are asleep. You are given anesthesia or sedatives by a nurse anesthetist or anesthesiologist so that the procedure is done in a non-painful manner. There are other forms of endoscopy which I will not be speaking of at this time, such as small bowel enteroscopy or capsule endoscopy. Regarding upper endoscopy, this procedure is usually done for evaluation of certain conditions such as gastroesophageal reflux disease or ulcers. Other types of conditions that endoscopy would evaluate include hiatal hernia and celiac disease. The procedure is done after the patient has fasted overnight. There is no other preparation necessary. It takes about 10 minutes. You are awake about a half an hour, 45 minutes later, and the results are given to you immediately thereafter. Colonoscopy is done most commonly as a screening procedure for the detection of precancerous polyps that could lead to colorectal cancer. There are actually several different kinds of colonoscopy, although each procedure is really the same thing. A screening colonoscopy refers to a procedure that is done in a patient who has no symptoms and is done for the detection of precancerous polyps. A surveillance colonoscopy is done for a patient who has previously had colonic polyps, and we are looking for new polyps several years later. A diagnostic colonoscopy is done to evaluate a patient's symptoms, such as a change in their bowel function or rectal bleeding. And a therapeutic colonoscopy is a colonoscopy done in order to remove a polyp that is already known to be present. All of those procedures, from the patient's point of view, are basically the same. They require a preparation the day before. The patient is asked to maintain a liquid diet all day long, and then in the evening they are told to drink one of several different types of preparations, usually liquids, in order to cleanse their bowel. The morning of the procedure, they come in and undergo an intravenous injection of anesthesia, and they are asleep for about 20 minutes. Within an hour after the procedure is over, they're awake and ready to go home. The physician can review the results of the procedure with them at the time, but if there is a polyp removed, the results of the biopsy will take at least a week. The risks of endoscopic procedures are very minimal. They do include bleeding, especially if a polyp is removed and if a patient is on anticoagulants, infection, or on extremely rare circumstances, perforation. If you have any additional questions regarding endoscopy, you may find the answers elsewhere on the website, or feel free to call the office and speak with a physician, nurse, or nurse practitioner.